1 teaspoon of healthy garden soil contains up to 1 billion bacteria, several yards of fungal threads, thousands of protozoa, and dozens of nematodes. That teaspoon can deliver more nutrition to your plant than a $40 bag of fertilizer. And every spring, 80% of backyard gardeners take a rototiller and sterilize that teaspoon into dust. Then they spend the rest of the summer trying to replace what they killed. The soil was never the problem. What you did to the soil in March, that was the problem. Last year, I pulled more food off one 12-foot raised bed than I had in the previous 3 seasons combined. Tomatoes, peppers, squash, cucumbers, beans. The bed was overflowing. And the year before that, same bed, same seeds, same sun, same water, I watched everything stall out by mid-July. The lower leaves turned yellow, the growth slowed to nothing, the flowers dropped before they set. The peppers just sat there like little green ornaments that refused to size up. One added more fertilizer. I side-dressed in June, I foliar sprayed in July. I dumped Epsom salts around the base because someone on the internet said magnesium was probably the problem. Nothing worked. By August, I was pulling out plants that looked like they had given up on life, and I had no idea why. And here is what is going to surprise you. The soil mistake that is silently starving your garden right now is not about what you are putting in. It is about what you are destroying before the season even begins. And once you understand it, every failed garden you have ever had will suddenly make sense. Most home gardeners treat soil like a dead container, a brown substance you put plants into and then feed with bottles and bags from the store. It is not. Soil is alive. It is an ecosystem. And the moment you understand that, everything changes. So let me back up and tell you how I figured this out, because I did not get here from reading a seed catalog. I got here from destroying my own soil for nearly a decade and not knowing it. For most of my gardening life, I did what my father did, and what most folks on my block still do. Every March, as soon as the frost broke, I would rent a rototiller and tear through every bed in the yard. It felt productive. The soil looked fluffy and clean. It smelled like fresh earth. I thought I was giving my plants the best possible start. Then I would dump in a bag of synthetic fertilizer, maybe some cheap garden soil from the hardware store, and plant everything. May looked incredible. June looked pretty good. And then July happened. Every single year, July happened. The yellowing started at the bottom and climbed. The growth stalled. The fruit that did set was small and tasteless. I blamed the heat. I blamed the variety. I blamed the bugs. I blamed the rain or the lack of it. I never once blamed the rototiller. I never once looked at the soil and thought maybe I am the one killing this. Then, about 3 years ago, I came across a 12-year trial run by a gardener and researcher named Charles Dowding. He set up 2 identical beds. Same soil, same compost, same seeds, same water. One bed was dug and tilled every year the way most of us do it. The other was never dug. Not once in 12 years. Compost was simply laid on top, and the soil was left completely undisturbed. After 12 years, the no-dig bed was producing 10 to 12% more food by weight than the tilled bed. Every single year, the undisturbed bed outperformed. Not because of some complicated technique, because the soil was allowed to stay alive. That trial sent me down a path that changed everything I thought I knew about gardening. And the science behind it is not complicated. But nobody tells you this when you buy your first pack of seeds, so let me tell you, here is the part nobody talks about. Underneath your soil surface, there is a network, an actual physical network made of living organisms that functions like the plant's own underground supply chain. The most important part of that network is mycorrhizal fungi. These are microscopic fungal threads called hyphae that physically attach to your plant's root system and extend outward into the soil in every direction. A single plant connected to a healthy mycorrhizal network has an effective root reach up to 100 times greater than a plant growing alone. 100 times. Those fungal threads are mining the soil for phosphorus, zinc, copper, nitrogen, and water from pockets and particles that the roots could never access on their own. Research published through Rutgers University and confirmed by multiple peer-reviewed studies shows that the mycorrhizal pathway can deliver up to 100% of a plant's phosphorus requirements. Not 10%, not 50, up to 100. And that is just the fungi. The bacteria in healthy soil are breaking down organic matter into forms of nitrogen and other nutrients that the plant can immediately absorb. Protozoa eat those bacteria and excrete plant-available nitrogen right in the root zone. Nematodes do the same at another level of the food chain. Earthworms are creating channels that allow water and air to move through the soil profile. All of these organisms are working together in what soil scientists call the soil food web. And the whole thing depends on one condition: the soil has to be left undisturbed. When you drive a rototiller through your garden bed, you physically shred the mycorrhizal network. Every thread that took months to grow and connect is sliced into pieces. The fungal colonies collapse. The bacterial populations that were concentrated in stable aggregates get scattered and exposed to UV light and wind. Earthworm tunnels are destroyed. Air pockets that allow roots to breathe are smashed into compacted layers that form within weeks after tilling. Research from the No-Till Farmer Network and multiple university extension studies confirm that tillage is the single most damaging factor to beneficial soil fungi. You are not preparing the bed. You are demolishing the infrastructure that was going to feed your plants all season. And here's what makes it worse. After tilling, the exposed organic matter oxidizes rapidly. That means the carbon stored in the soil literally turns into carbon dioxide and escapes into the air. Your organic matter percentage drops. In Virginia, the Piedmont Master Gardeners report that typical well-drained garden soil sits at just 0.5 to 2.5%. Organic matter? The ideal range for a productive vegetable garden is 3 to 5%, according to Colorado State University Extension and most county soil labs across the country. Most backyard soils are already below the minimum, and every time you till, you are burning off more of what little is left. So by the time your seedlings go into that freshly tilled bed in April, the soil looks beautiful on the surface, but underneath it is biologically devastated. The fungal network is gone. The bacterial populations are disrupted. The organic matter is declining. The structure that held moisture and air in balance has collapsed, and for the first few weeks, you do not notice because you also added synthetic fertilizer. That fertilizer gives a quick hit of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium right at the root zone. The plants respond, they green up, they grow. May looks fantastic. You feel like a genius. But synthetic fertilizer does not feed the soil biology. It bypasses it entirely. The nutrients are water-soluble. They dissolve. The plant takes what it can, and the rest washes down below the root zone within 2 to 3 weeks. A study published in the journal PLOS found that long-term application of chemical fertilizers significantly reduced soil microbial biomass and altered community composition compared to organic amendments. You are feeding the plant a sugar rush, while the kitchen that was supposed to cook real meals all season long is sitting empty and abandoned. By late June, the fertilizer has leached. The biology has not rebuilt. The organic matter is too low to provide slow-release nutrients. The mycorrhizal network that was supposed to be delivering phosphorus for the next 4 months is still in fragments. Your plants hit a wall, and you see it happen the same way every single year. The lower leaves start to yellow. Growth slows. Flowers appear but drop before they set fruit. The fruit that does set is small, bland, and sometimes rotten on the bottom. You reach for the fertilizer bottle again. You side dress, you foliar spray. It helps for a week, maybe 2, then the crash comes back. Because you are treating symptoms, the disease is under the surface. The disease is a dead soil food web that you killed in March and never rebuilt. Now, let me walk you through exactly what I changed and how it transformed my garden in 1 season. Because once I understood the problem, the fix was almost embarrassingly simple. The first thing I did was stop tilling completely. I have not put a rototiller or a garden fork into my beds in 3 years. In spring, I lay 2 to 3 inches of finished compost directly on top of the existing soil surface. I do not dig it in. I do not mix it. I do not turn it. I lay it on top and I let the biology do the work. The worms pull it down. The fungi colonize it. The bacteria break it down. Within weeks, that compost layer is integrating itself into the top few inches of soil without me destroying anything underneath. The second thing I did was get a soil test. A real one, not a pH strip from the hardware store. I sent a sample to my county extension office for $15. It came back with numbers for pH. Organic matter percentage, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and micronutrients. My organic matter was at 1.8%. Below the minimum, my phosphorus was actually adequate, but my potassium was low. My pH was 6.2, which is perfectly fine for vegetables. I had been adding lime for years without knowing my pH was already in range. I was potentially making things worse. That $15 test saved me from spending money on amendments I did not need and showed me the one thing I actually needed to fix: organic matter. That is it, just organic matter. The third thing I did was mulch heavily after planting, 3 inches of straw over every square inch of exposed soil. This single step cut my watering frequency roughly in half and kept the soil surface protected from UV, rain compaction, and temperature swings. The soil underneath stayed cool, moist, and biologically active all season long. Fungi thrive in undisturbed, covered, moist soil. Every time you leave bare soil exposed to the sun, you are sterilizing the top layer. Mulch is not decoration. Mulch is the protective skin your soil food web needs to survive. The fourth thing I did was stop relying on synthetic fertilizer as my primary nutrient source. I switched to compost, worm castings, and one application of a slow-release organic granular at planting time. These inputs feed the biology first, and the biology feeds the plant. The nutrients release slowly over months, not days. There is no spike and crash. There is no mid-July wall. The food web breaks down the organic matter at a pace the plant can use all season long without me intervening. And here is what happened. My beds did not just improve, they transformed. Plants that stalled every July kept growing into September. Tomatoes set fruit in clusters I had never seen before. Peppers loaded up heavy enough to bend branches. I had almost zero blossom end rot, almost zero cracking. The pest pressure dropped noticeably because healthy soil produces healthy plants, and healthy plants are naturally more resistant to insects and disease. My water usage went down because the intact soil structure held moisture instead of letting it drain straight through collapsed tilled ground. Everything got better. Not one thing. Everything. Now let me give you the signs that your soil is in trouble right now, because they are hiding in plain sight and most gardeners blame everything except the soil. If your lower leaves yellow every July, no matter what you do, that is the soil food web failing to deliver nitrogen after the synthetic fertilizer washes out. If your plants stall in midsummer despite full sun and regular watering, that is a collapsed mycorrhizal network that cannot deliver phosphorus and micronutrients. If you see increasing pest pressure year after year in the same beds, that is weakened plants growing in biologically dead soil. If your fruit is small, bland, and cracks or rots easily, that is inconsistent nutrient delivery from soil that has no slow-release organic matter left to give. And if you have never tested your soil but you have spent money on lime, Epsom salts, calcium sprays, or specialty amendments, you are guessing. And guessing in gardening is expensive. The fix is not complicated. Stop tilling. Start composting on top. Mulch everything. Test your soil once a year. Feed the biology and let the biology feed the plant. It is less work, not more. It costs less, not more. And it produces more food. Charles Dowding proved it over 12 years. The science from every major extension university backs it up, and I proved it in my own backyard this season. I finally stopped destroying my soil and started trusting it. If you take just one thing away today, let it be this. Your soil is not a dead medium that you fill with products. It is a living system that will feed your plants better than any bottle or bag ever could, but only if you let it live. That harvest I told you about at the start was not luck. It was not a special variety. It was not a secret amendment. It was the year I finally stopped killing my soil in March and let it do the job it was already designed to do. I would love to hear what happens when you try it. Drop a comment and tell me what your soil test shows. And if you know someone who tills every spring and wonders why July is always a disaster, send them this. They are one decision away from the best garden of their life. Until next time, keep growing.